Hey there, Eli again to give you guys an up-to-date inventory on all of our fish, starting with the saltwater here. Last week we did just get a new shipment in, so all these tanks are still pretty full. I guess we'll start over here. This tank's got a handful of tangs mostly, some nice sail fins, a nice orange striped bristletooth tang, which will get pretty large, and a Valmingi tang, another one that's gonna get pretty big for you guys that have larger reef tanks or fish onlys. Big Melanoris wrasse, good size to them, decent price too. Come check them out if you're interested. You guys might be familiar with the look downs that Ernie brought home for his own tank a few weeks ago. Kind of neat fish that you're not going to see very often. We did get another small school of these guys in. Not necessarily reef safe because they might eat smaller fish, but that's kind of about it. They are kind of predatory, but a really interesting fish that you're not going to see very often. Do keep in mind that these get very large, probably 16, 18 inches full grown, so they need a large aquarium, around 300 gallons plus if you can handle it. Up here, we still got a clown trigger that's been here a few weeks. He's getting nice and big. A really nice copper band, good size to him, and he's been eating like a pig. Nice cool tang and a fox face. Pearl scale butterfly, which is a nice cool butterfly for a fish only tank that it's been a while since I've seen one of those. One of the nicest, fattest powder blue tangs I've seen in a while, and of course everybody's favorite firefish. Nice good lionfish that's been here for a few weeks now. A good sized powder blue tang and a sailfin tang in this tank. Another one of those pearl scale butterflies, if that's something that catches your eye. It's Emperor Angel that's been here for quite a few weeks now, still mid-transition. Starting to get some adult colors going on, starting to see some yellow happening on that fish, which is super cool. There is a pair of blue jaw triggerfish in this tank too. Of course, the female is shy and hiding, but you can see the male out and about in the back. Finally got a thornback camel cowfish, which is pretty cool. Kind of similar to like the longhorn cowfish like Bob that you guys love so dearly. Another neat one, not necessarily reef safe, might nip at clams, snails, and that sort of thing, but very cool fish nonetheless, unique shape to him and a fun personality. A nice big 6-line wrasse, which has been a while. Another copper band that has also been eating. As far as I understand, all 3 of the copper bands we have currently have been eating pretty well. Cool little sunrise dotty back, which is another cool one you don't see very often, and a nice Valentini pufferfish. Kupang damsels in stock again. One of the best damsels if you want one that's not gonna be way too aggressive. Another nice fat powder blue tang, bright yellow canary blenny, and a royal grama in this tank. Pajama Cardinals, another nice Valentini puffer. A little fox face and a cool Lamarck's angel. Another one that's usually a reef safe angelfish, but may nip at clams, may nip at other things. Flame angel, it's been a while since we've seen these guys. They've been harder to get in recent years, but looks really nice. Pink tail trigger, which is another reef safe trigger. That's been a while since we've had one here. Still got this nice big banded moray eel. A little hippo tang and a nice sized white sleeper goby, maroon clown, Niger triggerfish, Scopus tang, and another one of those Valentini puffers of a decent size. So as always, come check us out if any of this stuff is catching your eye. We're still pretty well stocked. Come check us out this weekend for all your saltwater fish needs. And as for an updated inventory on all of our freshwater fish, we'll get started on the cichlid side of the store. Still got a handful of little Oscars, which are looking really good and mowing pellets like crazy, as usual. There's also a couple saddled Bashirs in that tank, which are another cool like predatory fish to add. A bunch of neon dwarf rainbow fish that have been here a long while, cool little schooling fish. Some Poleni Madagascar cichlids, also called a Starry Night, kind of a neat one that you don't see very often, that do okay in a lot of cichlid aquariums. Little blue-lipped Mabunas down bottom. Still got a couple of the Peruvian rust spot angelfish in stock. A bunch of locally bred firemouth cichlids for those of you that like the South American cichlids. And down bottom we've got some red Devil Cichlids, which are super cool, nice and bright, something you don't see very often, but quite an aggressive fish. Still got a handful of green Severums, these black belt cichlids that you saw me talk about in the last week's video, and some nice little kissing Gouramis, cool one that you don't see very often, at least in later years, and they get kind of big. Handful of locally bred Lake Turkana jewel cichlids. Still got some blue Texas cichlids, electric blues, super cool fish. Get to a decent size and they get a nice bright blue color to them. Some little Frontoses that have been here a while, and some little Viejas and Spilums that have been here a while that are gaining some size to them. For those of you that like Tanganyika fish, we've got Lulupis, Burchardes, and some Gelitochromis in this tank. Got both albino and regular rainbow sharks in stock right now, all about 2 to 3 inches in size. Bottom tank's got some red terrors, one that you don't see very often, not very colored up yet, but one of the most gorgeous South American fish that you can get once they get some color to them. We've gotten a lot of interest in these fish. They should now be in all 3 locations, but I've still got a handful of the Celebes, a handful of the Gertrude rainbows here at Coventry. There's also some quite small but super cool albino longfin bushy nose plecos, a good size if you wanted to start to grow some up, especially if you were interested in getting a few pairs for breeding. The long-awaited electric blue Caras are finally here too. These guys are looking pretty good, settling in quite well. Most of them are around 3 to 4 inches in size too, so these are a nice, cool, more friendly South American cichlid that do a little bit better in almost a community setting where they can get along in some of the more aggressive cichlid aquariums as well. Still a few nice big red severums in that tank. In this big tank we've got the Florida Gars, got a couple Tiger Madagensis, silver dollars, and some other nice large fish. The boat has been freshly restocked too, nice and packed right now. Tons of nice haps and peacocks in this back section here, ranging from about 3 inches in size to some maybe 4 and 5 inches in size. Good variety of stuff, lots of color right now. Nice stuff in general. Still got this flower horn that we picked up a couple weeks back. He's looking very nice and personable. As for the front of the boat, still got a ton of different Mabunas, a bunch of yellow labs, some blood parrot cichlids. Still got a handful of these cool OB Mabunas, which are pretty cool. We still got a few arowanas. We got that nice silver arowana in this tank, and there is the Giardini arowana in the back in this tank as well. The tiger silver dollars in this tank, which are another neat silver dollar species you don't really run into very often. As for the smaller aquariums, we've got a bunch of Ember Tetras still, a really nice schooling tetra that stay pretty small for some of the smaller aquariums. This tank's got both golden rams and black ram cichlids, which are cool varieties of your normal blue ram. There's also a handful of white clouds still left, but these guys have been going pretty quickly. There's also some snake skin barbs, which are kind of cool schooling fish. That it's one you're not going to see very often. Get kind of a cool green iridescent sheen to them with some size, and they're just a very cool pattern to them, kind of like a tiger barb, but a little less aggressive, a little more plant safe than those alternative barb species. Down bottom, we've still got some of these spotted Botilla loaches, which is super cool. A nice pair of Pisto McMasteri and some of those gold roseline sharks. Good variety of smaller angelfish and some nice bright yellow rainbow fish in this tank. Blue Gouramis and red shoulder severums in this bottom tank. Still got a handful of these nice albino paradise Gouramis, a super cool Gourami that it's been a while since we've seen in the store. These guys are pushing full grown, nice cool centerpiece fish for a community tank. We've got axolotls in stock again too. Most of these guys are pretty small, maybe around 3 inches a piece, but a nice fun species to keep on its own. Keep in mind that these guys do get about 1 foot in size, and they do prefer colder water, so it is kind of a requirement to make sure that there's ice packs floating in these tanks in the summertime, or invest in a chiller to make sure that their water stays below 70 degrees, ideally somewhere in the 60s range. But these are a nice, fun aquarium specimen. Not really a fish, they are an amphibian, but they do very well in aquariums. Something to keep on their own though. They generally do not do well mixed with fish. Some more angelfish of a little bit bigger size, cool variety of marbled, some golden, some koi looking angels, some rope fish in the back, and a handful of big hemiotis, which are another cool kind of tetra species you don't see often. There's lavender Gouramis down bottom, which are another variety of the blue. Also got some cool Balzani cichlids, which are a type of geophagus, and some Altafrons geos as well. Good variety of rainbow fish in this tank, goiter rivers and millennium rainbows. Longfin tiger barbs down bottom, which are really cool, flashy variety of the tiger barb. There's some electric blue ram cichlids in there, and Paleatus or peppered cories. Still have some gold neon tetras, which are a cool variety of your standard neon. and some small bushy nose. These also happen to be long fins, but just a regular color morph. Bunch of German blue ram cichlids. Some more gouramis. These happen to be opaline gouramis. There's also some New Guinea rainbows, which are your typical red rainbow that you see. More German blue rams and some glow light rasboras. Handful of nice red sunset mollies and some Colombian redfin tetras that have been here a long while. Neon tetras in this tank. Royal Caras in this tank, which are another Cara species that you don't run into as often as, say, electric blues. Super cool fish. Another one that are a larger South American cichlid, but a little more peaceful than many others. Albino cories and some silvadalas. More rainbow fish up top, mostly Parkinson's in that tank. Lahari rainbows in this tank, which are another really cool one. These haven't colored up quite the best yet, but they get some nice hues of pink, green, and blue to them as they get some size. Quite a cool fish. More live bearers, swordtails, and mollies in these couple tanks. Still a handful of balloon belly mollies and some red phantom tetras. Honey gouramis. Still have our Madagascar turtles, which are just too cool. Need a very specific setup or a really neat turtle for an aquarium. We've got some golden angelfish and diamond tetras that have been here a while. Some more rainbows in this tank. Cool little loaches. These are dwarf banded loaches. Kind of a cool schooling community fish that you don't see very often. Stay pretty small. Green cories and some banded barbs in this tank down bottom. Platinum convict cichlids in here. Bunch of zebra Danios. These happen to be the long fin variety. This tank has giant Danios, which are a really cool, tightly schooling fish, but they get quite large, maybe 5 or 6 inches, so they generally do best in a larger aquarium. Some red brick swordtails in this tank and a handful of albino cories left. More live bearers down bottom, a mix of swordtails, platies, and mollies. Bunch of cherry barbs, which are one of my favorite community fish. These guys are really small right now and mostly males, so they've got some nice bright color to them. Longfin serpe tetras in this tank. 1 or 2 powder blue gouramis still left, and some spotted severums, which are pretty cool. A handful of both male and female guppies still available at Coventry. This tank's got a couple more apistos left. A few of the little pygmy cories, which are such a cool addition to a lot of smaller tanks, and some black phantom tetras. And down bottom, we've got a few more types of cories and some rosy barbs that just came in. These guys are really bright, really colorful. Another cool schooling fish. Not necessarily plant safe, but cool for a regular community tank. So feel free to check us out this weekend for that 20% off sale on all the freshwater livestock. Come check out all the freshwater stock that we have to offer as with the saltwater fish. And as always, keep it fishy.